the reality-shattering weapon, exposing the narcissist's gaslighting tactics that drive you mad. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling utterly disoriented? As if you've stepped into a psychological fog? You replay the moments, unsure what was said, or, more terrifyingly, whether what you vividly remember actually happened. Perhaps you've started to silently wish you had recorded the exchange, just to have an external witness. That creeping internal voice that asks, "Am I going crazy? Am I forgetting things? Am I just not smart enough to follow the logic?" If you recognize this profound sense of internal chaos, there is a strong probability you have been subjected to the calculated terror of gaslighting. This is not a simple lie. Gaslighting is a form of calculated psychological manipulation designed to make you doubt your own sanity, memory, and perception of reality. It is a subtle, insidious form of abuse that, when executed over time, has a devastating impact, slowly eroding the very foundation of your self-esteem and identity. The origin story: when the lights go dim. The term gaslighting is drawn from the chilling 1938 play and subsequent 1944 film, Gaslight. The narrative is frighteningly relatable. A husband systematically works to convince his wife that she is losing her mind. He hides objects, creates minor disturbances, and, most symbolically, deliberately dims the gaslights in their home, only to adamantly deny that the lights are changing when she comments on it. By the end, the victim is watching an undeniable reality: the flickering, dimming lights, and yet she believes her husband over her own eyes, convinced she has gone completely mad. This story encapsulates the process, deliberately and systematically destabilizing someone to force them to doubt their thoughts, feelings, and core sense of reality. The mechanism of attack, turning defense into weapon. To understand how gaslighting works, we must first look at a process we all engage in: defense mechanisms. Psychologists define these as unconscious strategies the mind employs to keep unwanted, painful information hidden from our conscious awareness. The haunting doubt: when you question your own mind. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling utterly disoriented, as if you've stepped into a psychological fog? You replay the moments, unsure what was said, or, more terrifyingly, whether what you vividly remember actually happened. Perhaps you've started to silently wish you had recorded the exchange, just to have an external witness. That creeping internal voice that asks, "Am I going crazy? Am I forgetting things? Am I just not smart enough to follow the logic?" If you recognize this profound sense of internal chaos, there is a strong probability you have been subjected to the calculated terror of gaslighting. This is not a simple lie. Gaslighting is a form of calculated psychological manipulation designed to make you doubt your own sanity, memory, and perception of reality. It is a subtle, insidious form of abuse that, when executed over time, has a devastating impact, slowly eroding the very foundation of your self-esteem and identity. The origin story: when the lights go dim. The term gaslighting is drawn from the chilling 1938 play and subsequent 1944 film, Gaslight. The narrative is frighteningly relatable. A husband systematically works to convince his wife that she is losing her mind. He hides objects, creates minor disturbances, and, most symbolically, deliberately dims the gaslights in their home, only to adamantly deny that the lights are changing when she comments on it. By the end, the victim is watching an undeniable reality: the flickering, dimming lights, and yet she believes her husband over her own eyes, convinced she has gone completely mad. This story encapsulates the process, deliberately and systematically destabilizing someone to force them to doubt their thoughts, feelings, and core sense of reality. The mechanism of attack: turning defense into weapon. To understand how gaslighting works, we must first look at a process we all engage in: defense mechanisms. Psychologists define these as unconscious strategies the mind employs to keep unwanted, painful information hidden from our conscious awareness. They are a normal, often immature part of psychological development, internal, unconscious lies we tell ourselves to mask truths we don't want to see, feel, or believe. These defense mechanisms obscure reality by whispering, "This isn't happening," or "Whatever is happening isn't that bad." Gaslighting is when someone else turns this internal psychological defense into an external weapon against you. It is when the abuser deploys these defensive lies, distorting reality by insisting this isn't happening or what's happening isn't that bad, but directs the denial at your mind instead of their own. The classic tactic, denial as aggression. The most classic and damaging example of this is weaponized denial. Internally, a friend might use denial to protect herself from the agony of discovering illicit texts on her husband's phone, unconsciously telling herself the pain isn't real to delay the inevitable breakdown. This immature internal defense provides short-term relief but guarantees long-term suffering. The narcissist uses this very same strategy, but with malicious intent. They are not merely refusing to accept reality for their own benefit. They are actively refusing to accept it and simultaneously trying to block your conscious mind from accepting it too, so that they don't have to face the consequence. They are using you as a shield to avoid their own pain, willing to have you experience profound psychological damage as a result. If you confront an abusive partner with those illicit texts, and they look you dead in the eye and state, "You never saw that. That didn't happen. You're being too sensitive or exaggerating," that is gaslighting. Any tactic designed to distort, deny, or dismiss reality to help the abuser avoid accountability is the signature move of this abuse. The narcissist's imperative, protecting the fragile fantasy. Gaslighting is the signature tool of the narcissistic personality because they reside within a fragile, fabricated shell of reality where everything must mirror back their own supreme adoration and self-importance. Since they live in this highly distorted reality, they only permit you to exist within it as an actor in their fantasy. When you bring up a fact, a truth, a feeling, a memory that threatens their flawless self-image, you become an inconvenience threatening the fantasy. They gaslight you because without your forced participation in this delusion, they lose the psychological supply that sustains their very existence. It is crucial to recognize that this is an immature manipulative tactic, but it is not a stupid one. Narcissists are strategically calculating. They will not abuse you constantly. They employ intermittent reinforcement, strategically being nice, loving, or even charming for as long as it takes to ensure you stay anchored. But the moment you begin to question the reality they created, the moment you threaten the fantasy, they will immediately dim those gaslights and begin their systematic, cruel denial. When they look at you with cold authority and dismiss your hurt with the phrase, "Stop being so sensitive," what they are truly saying is, "You are not in charge of what you feel I am." They are attempting to define your emotional experience, usurping your internal authority, and further cementing your doubt in preparation for the next cycle of manipulation. The core of gaslighting is the intentional rewriting of the victim's reality, often communicated through phrases that are manipulative on the surface but reveal a deeper, darker psychological agenda. When they tell you, "That never happened," they are not simply arguing semantics. What they truly mean is, "I cannot allow you to know that happened, because that truth threatens the fantasy I need you to uphold to keep feeding me the narcissistic supply." The denial is an act of self-preservation, ensuring their lifeline remains intact. When they dismiss your distress with, "You're being crazy," the psychological mechanism is one of classic projection. What they truly mean is, "I am terrified that my own fragile, unstable reality is showing, and I am afraid you will find out. Therefore, I must displace this craziness onto you." When they sneer, "You're overreacting," they are enforcing a cruel totalitarian rule over your emotional life. The only appropriate reaction in their distorted fantasy is sustained adoration. Thus, what they truly mean is, any reaction that originates authentically from your own sense of self, any reaction not centered on admiring me, cannot be tolerated. And when they minimize your pain with the sharp retort, "I was just joking," they are establishing a boundary that ensures their dominance. What they truly mean is, "Your pain is irrelevant and a joke to me." This tactic is designed to induce shame in the victim for daring to take their own feelings seriously. The most corrosive attacks are often conditional, such as, "If you loved me, you would fill in the blank," which means, "If you loved me, you would simply let me abuse you without complaint." Or the devastating, "If you were just better in some way, smarter, prettier, more successful, I wouldn't have to do this. This last phrase is designed to strike at the deepest insecurities, linking the victim's perceived inadequacy directly to the abuser's cruel behavior, the erosion of self-worth, when the lie takes root. Gaslighting is universally devastating to self-esteem, especially because these attacks are often calculated to hit the core of pre-existing vulnerabilities. The gaslighter's intent is clear. They want you to believe you are inadequate, they want you to be in pain, they want control, and they desperately need to ensure you can't threaten their brittle shell of a reality. This attack methodically dismantles your psychological defenses. While defense mechanisms are natural tools for coping with pain, gaslighting is an external force that exponentially exacerbates this problem. When your opinions, needs, and wants are constantly dismissed, denied, and ridiculed by an external source, you begin to forget who you are. Over time, you lose touch with the very awareness of what constitutes a healthy need, crippling your ability to navigate relationships and strengthen your own sense of self-worth. When your partner repeatedly lies about, disregards, or distorts your own lived experience, your feelings, needs, and desires, you risk not only losing your grip on reality but also the very structure of your experience of self. A sophisticated gaslighter will find subtle ways to put you down, often simply by reinforcing what you already secretly fear or believe about yourself. They strike at the core of your deepest insecurities, using them to foster a sense of dependency. You constantly wonder if you are overreacting to their cruel comments, and if you dare express your feelings, you are instantly labeled as hypersensitive, exaggerating, or neurotic, further invalidating your emotional response and ensuring your silence. The upside down, what gaslighting feels like. For gaslighting to work, the victim must be subtly unaware of the manipulation occurring, but the body and mind register the psychological assault. The experience of being gaslit is one of profound mental confusion and disequilibrium. Your mind will spin. It may feel as though you are underwater or floating in outer space, unbalanced, ungrounded, and certain something is wrong, yet utterly unable to pinpoint the source. Psychologically, this is your brain struggling to process cognitive dissonance while simultaneously fighting an external force attacking its sensory input. You may feel physically disoriented, dizzy, or nauseous. It often manifests as a foggy, numb, and overwhelming state, sometimes leading to dissociation, where you retreat into your inner mind, losing touch with the physical world. You become consumed by the exhausting mental acrobatics of trying to reconcile the abuser's reality with your own memory. This state can feel unsettlingly like being in the Matrix or the Upside Down. Perhaps the most tragic symptom is the feeling of euphoria or relief upon succumbing. When you stop fighting to stay anchored in your reality and simply allow yourself to follow the abuser down into their fabricated fantasy, the mental struggle ceases. This strange, temporary cessation of conflict can feel like relief, a deceptive neurological reward for giving up the fight. Protection and recovery, anchoring to reality. Gaslighting is ultimately a dual fantasy that depends on your unconscious participation. This does not mean the abuse is your fault, but it highlights that your engagement is the critical variable. 1. Internal clarity, finding your part. The first step in protection is to gain clarity on your own psychological vulnerabilities. If you suspect you are being gaslit, ask yourself, why might I be participating in this? What painful truth am I trying to avoid? By addressing your own internal avoidance, you strengthen the barrier against external lies. 2. Grounding, the power of physical senses. Your next protection is to stay obsessively grounded in reality. Do this by focusing intensely on your physical senses, what you see, hear, smell, and touch, rather than getting lost in the dizzying confusion of what you think or remember. 3. Zero engagement. Do not attempt to save them. Do not, under any circumstances, try to bring the gaslighter over to reality with you. Narcissism and gaslighting are based on a dual fantasy, not a shared reality. Attempts to explain, convince, show proof, or playback recordings are dead ends. The abuser will simply flip the evidence back on you, using it to gaslight you further. Save yourself and do not try to save them. 4. The path out, truth and support. Start telling yourself the absolute truth, even if it hurts. The more you engage in self-deception, the easier it is for you to be gaslit externally. Telling yourself the truth is the only way out. If prolonged gaslighting has made you unsure of the truth, you must reach out to trusted support, a professional, a loved one, or a friend, to walk you through what is true and help you establish safe distance. Never isolate yourself from people you trust. You need others to help you break the pattern of psychological abuse. While gaslighting is a powerful form of manipulation, understanding its mechanics allows you to dismantle its power. To learn more about how people employ manipulation tactics and how to effectively disarm them, focus on strengthening your critical thinking and external support systems.